Ladies and gentlemen, as Vietnam transitions into a middle-income country and moving towards to sustainable development, its access to concessional loans is diminishing, while the nation's demand for resources to fund development programs, particularly green transition program, continues to rise. To bridge this financing gap, Vietnam must strategically expand its access in international capital markets. Hence, investor relation has become a crucial factor to enhance its creditworthiness, which in turn increases the ability to attract investment capital. The importance of investor relations and credit ratings has been emphasized in the decision on approving the National Credit Rating Improvement Project by 2030. To better understand about investor relations in public debt management, we invite to the talk show Mr. Arne Frank, Team Leader of Strengthening Public Financial Management in Vietnam, GIZ, Vietnam, Dr. Dao Bich Han, expert from Public Debt Management. Let's get started by watching the following reportage.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Dr. Dao Bich Han, expert from Public Debt Management.
Good morning, everyone.
First of all, I want to thank two special guests for taking the time to come to our studio. To begin with, let's find out the overall view of investor relations.
Investor relations is one of the new strategies adopted by some countries in recent decades and becoming an increasingly global practice. Investor relations is a mechanism through which the government provides consistent information to investors about financial instruments, such as borrowing strategies, the government's borrowing needs, and general information about the government's debt management framework while maintaining relationships with them. It also aims at a broader audience, allowing National Assembly, citizens, and the international community to access and assess in more detail the government's transparency and governance capabilities. The role of investor relations is to foster engagement between the issuer and investors by providing information that enables investors to support informed decision-making and exercise their rights. Investor relations helps the government understand investors' expectations, thereby improving relationships to mobilize capital at a reasonable cost in line with the level of risk. Investor relations also plays a crucial role in enhancing transparency and good governance, helping stakeholders evaluate public debt policies and mitigating negative impacts during times of economic crisis. An increasing number of countries have established investor relations programs, either by integrating investor relations functionality into existing debt management apparatus or specialized investor relations offices. The number of countries with investor relation programs has increased from 8 to 30 since 2005.
Mr. Arne Frank, could you please share core principles for developing highly effective investor relations?
Looking from the investor side, a potential investor needs comprehensive, timely and accurate information on macroeconomic and fiscal policies to make an informed decision where to put his money. This includes, for example, government information on medium-term management strategies, fiscal forecasts and borrowing strategies in the form of figures and explanation. On the government side, the relevant ministries and agencies need to set up a close coordination mechanism to deliver all information needed and be able to decide on policies and make decisions as appropriate. Additionally, it is essential to maintain sustainable relationships through regular interaction and dialogue with long-term trust.
Mr. Arne, which factors have contributed to investor relations becoming an international standard? What are the key criteria for evaluating a country's IR according to current global standards?
The relations is increasingly becoming an international standard as it addresses the global demand for financial transparency and good governance in the context of expanding international capital markets and rising financial risks. Adherence to international investor relations standards enables investors to make informed comparison between countries and make sound investment decisions. Investor relations also helps countries to boost their attractiveness to foreign investors by improving its overall competitiveness, to facilitate an objective comparison country.
Dr. Dao Bich Han, from the perspective of a domestic expert, is establishing investor relations according to international standards an important factor in financial management in Vietnam and in enhancing the competitiveness of Vietnamese enterprises in the international arena.
Absolutely. Indeed, for countries like Vietnam, establishing an effective investor relations system that adheres to internationally recognized standards can offer significant advantages when seeking capital in the international market. Moreover, such the approach also helps enhance the country's credibility in various areas, such as credit ratings, public debt management, financial stability, good governance, and so on. As a result, Vietnam can attract international capital at more favorable terms, while also increasing its capacity to mobilize funds for development programs, including green transition and sustainable development.
According to the IIF assessment, in 2024, Vietnam's investor relations ranking was 43rd out of 50 participating countries. Ms. Han, how do you assess the implementation of investor relations in Vietnam?
In practice, Vietnam has made significant progress in investor relations, particularly in terms of financial data transparency, such as publishing debt reports, budget data, and preparing consolidated financial statements for the government sector. Vietnam has also actively engaged with both domestic and international investors. However, compared to international standards, Vietnam hasn't had a dedicated investor relations office and lacks an investor relations clear strategy. Additionally, there is a deficiency in modern channels and tools for investor engagement, as well as mechanisms for collecting investor feedback. Furthermore, delays in information provision and report updates hinder accessibility for international investors and can negatively impact Vietnam's credit rating.
What is your opinion, Mr. Arne Frank?
Vietnam also complying with international standards. For example, the IMF Special Data Dissemination Standard due to limitations in technical infrastructure and modern information management systems for data collection, storage and dissemination. This has in Vietnam resulted in a lack of transparency and detailed public debt data. While this presents a challenge, it also offers an opportunity for Vietnam to improve and move towards a more comprehensive investor relations system.
Ms. Han, what can Vietnam learn from international IR practices, especially from countries like Philippines, Indonesia, Turkey, which ranked at the top in the IIF assessments for 2024?
Countries maintain effective IR thanks to a comprehensive IR strategy, a readily accessible information and data system, and regular interactive activities. This fosters trust and cultivates a stable investor network. Indonesia and the Philippines consistently publish transparent, timely, and clear information on public finances, public debt, and macroeconomics. They provide detailed periodic reports and ensure information consistency to facilitate investors' tracking and assessment. Turkey and Indonesia emphasize the use of digital platforms and modern technology for data collection, management, and dissemination. Additionally, these countries maintain regular contact with investors through investor conferences, online meetings, and periodic newsletters. This enables them to understand the investor needs and concerns, allowing for policy adjustments accordingly.
What recommendations do you have for Vietnam to strengthen its investor relations?
We can certainly learn from international experiences. However, improving a country's investor relations also depends on various factors and requires a well-defined roadmap. In my opinion, short-term priorities for Vietnam include strengthening legal framework for investor relations, developing detailed annual investor relations plans, and clarify the responsibilities and coordination mechanisms among relevant agencies. It is also important to develop a bilingual investor relations website, update information regularly, and maintain close contact with international investors through webinars.
What recommendations do you have for Vietnam to strengthen its investor relations? Mr. Arne Frank.
Vietnam should establish a dedicated investor relations office, including development of a comprehensive investor relations strategy and upgrade its information technology infrastructure. For example, by setting up a special investor portal on the Ministries of Finance website, providing access to important documents such as debt bulletins and financial reports. Key economic indicators should be presented in internationally recognized formats, and efforts should be made to strengthen debt management capacities and provide training for the personnel in the ministry.
How do you assess Vietnam's potential and opportunities for the development of investor relations in the near future?
Well, personally, I believe that Vietnam possesses significant potential to enhance its investor relations in cooperation with its international partners. The Ministry of Finance has already received substantial support from the international community, such as through our Strengthening Public Financial Management in Vietnam project, which is co-financed by the European Union and the German government. Our project is implemented by GIZ, and we are providing a range of technical assistance activities. For example, deployment of national and international experts to analyze the current situation and develop recommendations for improvement. Training programs and capacity building initiatives have been and will continue to be implemented to support the Vietnamese government in achieving the objectives outlined in the 2030 national strategy.
Han, how do you evaluate the role of international projects such as those from GIZ in supporting Vietnam?
International projects such as those from GIZ play a crucial role in helping Vietnam overcome challenges related to industrial relations. Through training programs, technical support, and expert assistance, we are able to access best practices and knowledge from countries that have successfully developed their industrial relations systems. This enables us to implement specific solutions and activities to improve investor relations in Vietnam.
We extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Arn and Dr. Han for their participation. Today's discussion has provided valuable insights into the role and current state of industrial relations in Vietnam. We hope that the expert recommendations will contribute to the development of Vietnam's investor relations system and its national credit rating. We look forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you again in future events. Thank you and goodbye.